Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 112. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start the episode off with Vernon and Anita. Anita is sitting at her, I don't know what you call it, but it's that thing in the window, but it's not the window pane. It's the bench that be sitting in front of the window. It's like a nook or something like that. I don't know what it's called, but I really like it. But anyways, she's sitting there and she's looking out her window. Vernon comes into the room and he wants to know what she's looking at, and she tells him to come over and look. So we go back to the hospital, and I'm gonna just put this picture up, y'all, because yeah. So we go back to the hospital, and Ted and Leslie are sitting at Eva's bedside. She's getting weaker, and they need to find a donor today. Ted isn't going. Ted isn't going there. He hopes Kat is a match. Leslie wants to know why she took so long to do the right thing and talks ill about Kat. He tells her Kat deserves the time she needs to think things through. Leslie says, so while she takes her sweet time, she quickly becomes Eva's only hope. And that ain't what she wanted, Leslie. But how are you gonna say Kat took her sweet time to do the right thing when you took decades before you told Eva? I mean, before you told Ted about Eva. How are you able to chastise anybody about doing the right thing? But anyways, so we see Danny. She's now at the hospital. She sees Andre. She asks him if there's any news. He gives her an update. She understands how this has affected Kat. Andre says if she's a match, she can save Eva, and we can all say we survived. And Danny has this guilty look on her face. So we see Bill and Haley. Um, Bill wants to know why she came empty handed. She makes up an excuse. She's annoyed that they can't get home. He tells her they're still working on it. She says they should work faster. She loved the hotel last time they stayed there. No, he asked her, you loved the hotel last time we stayed here. What's changed? So we see Jacob at the station, and I don't have a picture of it, so we're just going to show this. We see Jacob at the station, and he's giving Elon an update on the tornado. He wants to know how Elon wants to know how Isaiah is doing. Jacob tells him and says he's going to go over and ask him if he wants to come. Elon says, he'll tell Darlene, but he still has work to do. We see, and I don't have any pictures of this. We'll just keep this picture up, child. So we see Chelsea. She brings Isaiah some coffee, and she tries to get him to go home, but he won't leave. We see Martin and Nicole. They're talking. Martin says he knows Kat has anxiety when it comes to medical testing, but morally, there's only one option at play. She tells him even if she is a match, she doesn't have to go through with it. He says they can't let that happen. She tells him he's assigning his own feelings and not Kat's. It's a big surgery with a long recovery time, and she has every right not to go through with it, and they have to respect that. He wants to rebut, but Ted comes over asking if they've heard from Kat because she isn't at the lab. We go back to the Bill's office, and Haley wants to get her things. He was just like, I didn't hear you complaining when we bought out when we bought out the boutique in the at the hotel. But if she can't do with any of her face cream, then they can just buy more. She tells him she isn't being superficial, and can he just get the cops to let them in? He says he can't do that. He isn't about to jeopardize their safety when they walked away from the storm. They will go back. They'll go back when they get the all clear. He has to go to the hospital to meet Madison to get some information on the case, because child, we forgot all about that case. But to get some information. Sorry, y'all. but to get some information on the case. And she tells him, and he tells her to go to the spa. So he leaves. She's pissed. She makes a call, but they send her the voicemail, and she's saying they need to meet now. So we go back to Ted, Nicole, and Martin, and Nicole wants to know if Kat at least did the test. She did, and they did put a rush on it, but they wish she had stuck around. Nicole says she's an adult and she can come and go as she pleases, and they need to give her space. Ted hears her, but her leaving means she doesn't want to know the results. He wants to call her since time is not on their side. Nicole says no, it's the last thing he should do. Their daughter is telling them she needs space from them. Can't they hear that? So we see Kat. She's at the atrium. She's with Tomas. She didn't want to she didn't want to be bothered by everybody. And she says Leslie already has a scalpel ready for her. He tells her she may not be a match, and she says, and that opens up a whole new can of worms. She can only imagine how her dad's face when she tells him she can't be the donor. He tells her, um, he tells her, don't think like that. No, he says, you don't think they'll blame you. And she says, knowing Leslie, she'll probably say that she willed her blood out of spite. She appreciates him for making her feel better, and he says they're a team, and he's all she wants. He has all she wants, or something. She says I can't remember. Um, she does say there is one more thing that he can do for her. So we go back to the hospital, and oh, sorry. So we go back to the hospital. Isaiah is surprised that Andre is still there. Um, and it's the least he can do. No, Andre says it's the least he can do. Family may be messy, but when the chips are down, they come together. And Danny says, well, missing a few, and she wonders if her parents know. Chelsea doesn't think so. They went straight home and they probably slept in. Danny says she'll go tell them in person. She hugs them and goes to the elevators. When she goes to the elevators, Bill steps off and says they have to stop meeting like this. And she flashes back to them, in the hotel. I mean, not in the hotel, but on the elevator. And she tells him to wipe that smug look off his face and keep his mouth shut. Sorry about that. So we see Nita saying poor Leslie's first house, but she'll rebuild. Vernon says they'll reach out to the other neighbors who were hit hard in the incident, including Leslie. Danny comes in and tells them what happened, and Kat being the last option, and her not being fond of Eva for good reason, but she did decide to get tested. So we see Martin. He is, and I don't have any pictures of Martin and Chelsea, but we see Martin talking to Chelsea, asking if she's heard from Kat, and she says no. She thought she was being tested. She went to get fresh air. Isaiah says, I hope she didn't go far. If she's a match, they have to start the surgery right away. If she gets stuck in traffic and she can't get back in time. And it's just like, again, you are assuming that just because she's a match, she's going to donate. So making, you're already saying this is what's going to happen without, yeah, like, everyone is just under the assumption that she's going to do it. Like, they don't care what the results are. If she's a match, she's going to do the surgery. And it's just like, why are y'all under that assumption? Who told you that she was going to do that? Nobody. But anyways, so he's going on about that. We see Darlene get off the elevator. She's there. Isaiah's shocked to see her. She tells him that he's sorry. She tells him that she's sorry. She's sorry to hear about Eva. He says something about, that wasn't your biggest fan, and she was just like, yeah, but that doesn't matter now. She brought him a change of clothes. He thanks her, and Darlene gives him his props for loving Eva or whatever. He feels like he isn't doing anything, and then they hug. So we see Leslie. She wants to know if Kat's a match. She feels like the life is draining from Eva. He doesn't know where she is, and he hopes she'll come back when she gets her results. She says, "Oh, this, she was talking to Ted. Sorry, y'all." She says, "If she doesn't, she says, and if she doesn't, the last time we asked her, her impulse was to run. She wouldn't put it past her. She found out she was a match and skipped town. It would be the perfect revenge for evil Leslie and the sister she hates." He tells her to chill. Kat isn't vindictive like that. The doctor comes in and then tells her they found a match. They found a match. So we see Kat and Tomas. They're talking about true crime. She knows who did it, and she explains her reasoning. She explains her reasoning for why she knew who the who did it. The hospital calls and they give her her results. So we see Danny. She is telling the family, she's telling Anita and Vernon that the time is running out and Kat is the only option. Vernon says, so Kat was pressured into taking the test. She then walks in and says, yep, that's what happened. She wants to talk to Anita alone, and she tells Anita she's a match. It's good news for Eva and Leslie, but what about Kat? She wishes things had gone the other way, and now everyone will want her to do the right thing and have the surgery. Anita asks her, what do you want to do? And Kat says she doesn't know. So we see Jacob. Sorry. We see Jacob. He shows up and he tells Isaiah that Elon sends his love. Isaiah makes a remark about him not showing up because he has to put work first and all this other stuff. And it's just like, sir, you've been an ass to this man since you came back to town, since before you left town. Why do you think he's going to? Why do you think he's Why do you think he's going to be there for you? But okay. So I Ted comes out and he tells everyone they found a donor. Everyone is happy. Nicole goes to call Kat, but she's not answering. Isaiah is happy that the woman he loves is going to have a future. Andre is going to call Danny and walks away, and then Bill walks up on him and says he has something to tell him about Danny. We see Haley. She is at Orphe Jeans. She's at I think she's leaving a voicemail for Randy yeah, she's leaving a voicemail for Randy complaining about not being able to get into the house and she needs to get more of the poison. She gets upset and then she hangs up on him. Naomi walks over. She overheard a little bit of it and asks what this was about. And she lies and says Derek and then starts to fake cry. So we see Leslie. She is in her. She's with Eva. She's telling Eva to hold on. Darlene comes in. Leslie doesn't want to hate her there. Darlene gives her grace. She doesn't deserve it and is happy they found a donor. The doctor comes back in with Ted. The donor fell through. It was given to another patient. She goes off and she wants to pay off the other family for the liver. Ted says it doesn't work like that. She cries. She goes off on the doctor, but there isn't anything he can do. And he leaves, and then she breaks down. Leslie complains about the doctor, and Ted tells her there's still Kat. Leslie says Kat hates our daughter, and she talks about the donor falling through is what happens to people like them. Things don't come easy. They have to fight and claw their way through everything. He tells her not to give up. We see Isaiah. He's upset that the donor fell through. He's saying they were this close and no one is more deserving than Eva. And I'm just like, where did you get that from? she didn't do she didn't do this. It was done to her. Darlene tells him that's not how it works. He wants her to check her job to see if something can be done, if like somebody got hurt and they can use that liver. Elon walks up and tells him it doesn't work that way. He makes a snide remark about that, says, he thought he was busy. Elon says he's there for his son unless he can give her a liver. He doesn't need him. Jacob says he's trying, meet him halfway. Elon says he's proud of him. We see Bill. being an ass, of course, and he's trying to put doubt in Andre's mind about Danny. Chelsea comes up and tells him that the donor fell through. Bill is confused. He doesn't know what's going on. So they go and she tells him what's all going on. So we see Anita. She's talking to Kat. She's giving her advice and knows why she's scared. Kat doesn't think she's strong like her. The doctor told her surgery and recovery can be daunting on the donor. She has a choice. Anita tells her to think about it. If she says no and even dies, she will carry that that burden for the rest of her life. And how will she deal with it? Kat doesn't know. Anita says she does, and she doesn't want that for Kat. Kat cries and says Eva and Leslie have taken so much from her already, and now she has to be an organ bank for someone she doesn't respect. How is that fair? It isn't. Kat cries, why me? Anita tells her she came in the world a miraculous gift. It's a blessing, but it also can be a burden. But something tells me you didn't come here for guidance. Kat knows her boundaries and how far she can bend. She just needed to talk it out. So we see Haley. She's continuing to fake her grief. Naomi asks her favorite memory of Derek. Um, Haley says if she starts, she'll never stop, and but she would like to talk to her later. Naomi has to go, but tells her she can call her if she wants. Naomi leaves, and Haley rolls her eyes. We see Chelsea telling Bill, she tells Bill and Andre about the donor falling through and that she's going to go try reaching Kat. She walks away. Um, Andre says, you wanted to tell me something about Danny. Bill plays in his face. So we see Kat. She comes off the elevator, and then everyone is surrounding her and asking her different questions. Nicole tells everyone to back up and she doesn't have to answer anyone. She says she needs to talk to Ted. She shows up to Eva's room and Leslie is glad that she didn't run away. They ask if she's a match. She says she is. Leslie is praising her, but Kat stops her. Ted then asks, have you made a decision? She says she will do it to save Eva. Leslie hugs her and goes to find the doctor. Ted hugs her and leaves to find the doctor as well. She walks up to Eva's side with tears in her eyes and she says, you're welcome. So we see Vernon and Danny, they're back and they're looking for Kat. She went out the back. She tells them that she's a match and she decided to do it. Danny says that's great news for Eva, but hopes Kat is doing this because she wants to and not because she's afraid of Ted's reaction. Anita says truth is there was no other option. So we see not Eva, but we see Leslie and Eva, but we see Leslie and Isaiah in Eva's room. They're telling her to fight to make it through the surgery, and she has so much to live for. Leslie thanks Isaiah for loving her daughter. He kisses Eva and says he can't wait until she opens her eyes again. He isn't going anywhere. The prep team comes in and they take Eva. Leslie follows as Isaiah cries. Elon comes in and then they hug. Then we go to Kat. She's in her room. Martin is telling Kat that he's proud of her. Chelsea tells her she's going to rock this like everything else that she puts her mind to. Tomas tells her he'll see her later, and he'll have a list of true podcasts waiting for her. Nicole asks if there's anything that she can get her. She says no. She just wants a moment alone with Ted. She leaves and she tells Ted she's doing this for him, not for Leslie or Eva, but she's doing this because she loves him. And this is where I said, the actress that Kobe is, she portrayed this as a little girl crying out for her daddy's love. And that's how the episode ends. So this was a good episode. Again, this storyline still irritates my soul, but it was still a good episode. But make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.